Good morning and welcome to the Forex Daily Update, brought to you by Pepperstone on Wednesday the 25th of July 2018. I'm Darren Sinden and you can follow me throughout the day on Twitter by using @ds_Pepperstone. Right, let's take a look at the overnight changes and price moves to be aware of. I just want to flag three big movers overnight that was a mixed bag really. Things were either moving or they were pretty static. Note for instance very little movement yesterday in euro or cable, but we have seen a move in Aussie dollar US dollar overnight, with the Aussie dollar falling by 0.31% against its US counterpart. There were also gains for the Brazilian real against the US dollar. The real gaining by 0.88% against the greenback. The biggest move on the day and the biggest win on the day was for the South African rand, gained back 1.36% against the US dollar in yesterday's session. Dollar index for its part trading back at 94.63, largely unchanged on the day, but still well below that key 95 level as we see it. And before we leave the movers table, I just wanted to flag the new handle in Bitcoin, trading at $8,429 shortly before we recorded the video. That's up 14% over the last 7 days and some 38% on the month. So not been widely publicised, but Bitcoin has been bouncing back quite nicely. Okay, what's on the calendar then? Events that may move the markets today. A relatively compact calendar, but still enough to hold our interest. We've already had inflation data out of Australia this morning at 2:30 GMT. That was consumer price index data and the Reserve Bank of Australia's trimmed mean CPI. On balance, the data a little bit disappointing. That probably explains the weakness in the Aussie dollar that we saw a moment ago. To come this morning then at 7:45 we'll have producer price index data out of France for the month of June, and then at 9 o'clock we'll have the influential IFO Business Climate and Economic Survey, business confidence, current assessment and expectations data, all for the month of July. 9,000 businesses surveyed across Germany for this data, so it's a deep and meaningful look at the state of thinking among German business people. At 9 AM we shall also have money supply and private loans data out of the Eurozone for the month of June, and also ZEW survey expectations out of Switzerland for the month of July. 9:30 we'll see BBA mortgage approvals data for the UK, and then at 12 o'clock we cross the Atlantic for the equivalent data out of the States, MBA mortgage applications for the week of July 16th, and that's followed by at 1500 by new home sales for the month of June. Obviously existing home sales data disappointed again earlier in the week. It'll be interesting to see if there's a similar trend in new home sales there. 15:30 we'll see the EIA crude oil stocks inventory data released for the week of July 16th, and at 1800 we have a 5-year note auction from the US to finish the day off. Right, breaking news and comment then that's caught my eye overnight. First of all, US business leaders showed their frustrations about trade tariffs in their testimony to Congress yesterday, and it does seem that US businesses have been ignored, or at least left behind as far as talks on trade have been concerned. The White House seems to be pursuing its own policy, not necessarily engaging with businesses to find out what they think. Meanwhile, the BRIC summit begins in Johannesburg today as leaders from major developing nations gather for talks on trade and international relations. And staying with the theme of trade, New Zealand's trade balance data unexpectedly swung to a deficit in June. Data released today shows, and the deficit was 113 million New Zealand dollars in the red versus the forecast for a surplus of 200 million New Zealand dollars. So quite a big swing. And as I say, that swing was not anticipated. Food for thought then, something to take away with you into the trading day and beyond. Well, why not think about this? The chart on the right looks at which countries have the largest FX reserves, which are typically built up as a result of trade or by central banks diversifying their holdings. These reserves can act as an economic buffer and are often recycled to help finance foreign government debt. What I think is quite illuminating here is just how small some of the Western countries' reserves are. For instance, the United States of America just $44 billion of foreign currency reserves, dwarfed by Mexico even and Canada. But someone like China has well over $3 trillion worth of reserves, Japan $1.2 trillion worth, and even Russia a healthy $356 billion worth of reserves. It doesn't mean too much in isolation, this data, but the fact that the Chinese helped to finance the US national debt, perhaps does give them a stick to beat the Americans with in due course. Right, please take a moment to read the risk warning. Trading CFDs and foreign exchange on margin can be a risky business. If you're in any doubt about those risks or the suitability of leverage products for you, then please do contact your Pepperstone account representative. Thank you for your time.